Mimi Rocah. She's the district attorney in Westchester County, that's just north of New York City, and a former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York. There's Westchester County. For those of you not in the tri-state area, we appreciate you making time for us, Mimi. Good evening.
Thanks. Great to be with you, Joshua.
Give me an example of something you've encountered in Westchester County that informs your perspective on what to do about this kind of extremism.
Well, like many communities across the country, we've seen a rise in what I'll call bias incidents, that don't necessarily rise to the level of a prosecutable crime standing on their own. But for example, the Patriot Front group has been putting up stickers across Westchester County that seem to be targeted at certain places that people of color or Jewish communities frequent. We've seen more swastikas up on public places or even in schools. And these are things that I think historically law enforcement has tended to treat it as, not insensitive. It's not that they don't understand that these can be upsetting and harmful, but there isn't much we can do, they said. And so there wouldn't be much of a response. I'm trying to change that here in Westchester because I think our communities really need, at a minimum, to understand and believe that we, meaning prosecutors and local law enforcement, police departments, are invested in this and taking it seriously.
In your op-ed, you wrote that prosecutors must be tenacious and creative, and said that they need to develop practical and multifaceted ways to help prevent bias incidents before they occur. What might some of those approaches look like? It seems like even the ability to do anything depends not only on the creativity of law enforcement in that area, but the willingness of law enforcement to do anything. Some of us have lived in parts of the country where, frankly, law enforcement just doesn't seem to give a damn.
So here's a small example. Right after the January 6th attacks, and then again, as these Patriots Front stickers were increasing, and we had some pictures of some of the people who had put up, I reached out to the Westchester County Police Chiefs Association, which represents all 42 police departments here in Westchester, and asked them if they wanted to put out a joint statement with me condemning the Capitol attacks, condemning the insurrection, and more importantly, stating affirmatively that here in Westchester, we are going to protect all people equally, regardless of race, religion, political belief. And they could not have said yes faster. Now, that doesn't mean, as I've said before, that I'm sitting here vouching for every single law enforcement officer in Westchester. What it means is that the leadership of law enforcement in Westchester is committed to this. And that's an important statement to send to our community and to send to law enforcement here and elsewhere. They need to hear from leaders in law enforcement that this is what our guiding principles are. It is to protect everyone equally. And I know that's a simple thing to say and not may feel true, but the more that we are committed to jointly saying that publicly, the more it will become true.
As a prosecutor, what difference practically does it make for you in terms of the way you prosecute something? I mean, if I'm visiting someone in Westchester County and, God forbid, I get beaten up because I'm gay and black, does it make a difference for you as a prosecutor to prosecute that as a hate crime versus as just a violent crime? I mean, I've been beaten up. You could still prosecute it anyway, right? What difference would it make one way or the other?
So it depends on the jurisdiction that you're in. In New York State, there are hate crime enhancements, essentially. So an assault would not just be an assault if you could show it was motivated by whether it be, sexual orientation, race, gender, et cetera, religion. So you could seek a higher penalty. And the same is true at the federal level, is proving that level of intent is often very hard, even if it sort of seems like it to, a layperson in common sense. It may not be something that you can necessarily prove so easily in court beyond a reasonable doubt. So there is a limitation on the hate crime laws, both at the state and the federal level. And as you know, and I'm sure many of the viewers know, we don't have a domestic terrorism statute federally, which is something that, is causing a lot of debate whether we should, whether a crime that causes the same level of physical harm should have additional penalties because of the motivation behind it. I personally think the answer to that is yes, but I understand the civil liberties and First Amendment concerns behind much of the opposition on the other side.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.